piece is called Fracture, and it came to me originally as a commission from FX Network for one of the Marvel properties. The property is called Legion, and the people involved were an agency in New York called Industria and my agency in New York called Creative Artist Agency. And as soon as I had my first call with them, then I contacted the Mill to see if we could work together on the project, having collaborated with the Mill on many projects in the past. I thought they were the perfect fit to do this. I did some research into the subject matter, which involves a kind of schizophrenic hero with multiple personalities, multiple perceptions of the world. I was attracted to that subject matter, and I thought it'd be interesting to recreate a very chaotic and somewhat abstract view of the world using images from the show itself. I think the physical experience of walking into the room is a psychological experience as much as a visual experience. So I think the challenge on this project was really to replicate a psychological condition and not just show, let's say, greatest hits from the show. So I think the combination of technology that was used, the visual language of the piece, all came together in a very cohesive way to make it very focused that way, and I think it was very successful in that respect. We spent some time looking through references of mirrors. I really wanted, my original reference was actually a movie called Zardoz, where Sean Connery goes into a crystal at the end of the film, and he's fragmented into many people, and he ends up killing himself inside the crystal. And that image always stuck with me, and I thought, oh, well, that's a very analog, low-tech approach to something that we could now do in a much more technological way. I think based on my work in the past, obviously most of my work is meant to be an installation, you tend to develop a kind of shorthand for what may or may not work in a physical installation due to the limitations of technology, the size of the room, the projectors you're using, et cetera, et cetera. So you make judgments knowing what the end use will be. In this case, we had an advantage of being able to use a VR to pre-visualize the actual installation. So we built the room, the viewing platform, the ceiling, the floor, all of it in VR. So you're actually able to stand inside a virtual room, look around. And I think I was able to do that very early on in the process. I think a week after we started, we were all able to pre-visualize that immediately. So we could make changes according to the scale and the scope of it. So that was very helpful. We built a lot of 3D geometry that reflected a hall of mirrors or crystalline shapes that felt quite violent at times. So there's a progression to it. And I wanted it to also give you the feeling that you're levitating. So when you see the installation, you'll be walking into a custom-built room, which is a square. And inside the square, we have 4 video screens. So you're basically inside a kaleidoscope. And once you enter, you begin to levitate through the kind of altered states of the main character's perception of the world. And it becomes increasingly dense and increasingly chaotic.